Welcome to Marly Milena's VWMOOC workshop, Creative Spirit, Bringing Metaphor to Life. I'm Francisco Koolhoven, or Fran for short, and I'm the technical assistant to Marly. Also here is Kat Saitanen, Marly's program assistant. If you have any follow-up comments or questions after the event, please feel free to contact one of us. Programs on Inspiration Island are produced with the support of Lucena, aka Wisdom Seeker. When you have time, please feel free to tour the first floor of the Butterfly Gallery next door, which contains a display of Marly's multimedia artwork. And now I'll turn the workshop over to Marly.
Hi! Many of you know me and what I do in Second Life. But for those of you who don't, here's a short synopsis. I am a creativist, one who's passionate about the process of creating, regardless of the medium. I use many arts-based processes to help individuals, groups, and organizations become more innovative and creative in how they do their work and what they offer to clients and students. Some of my playgrounds include composing for piano and voice, creating mixed media art, writing, performing, and developing unusual approaches to teaching and creating organizations. So I brought my background of many arts, humanistic psychology, organization training and development, and education into Second Life, and devised ways of doing in here what I've done all my life out there. It's based on using these tools metaphorically and symbolically rather than how they are usually used, that is, immersively. In addition to launching my group, Octagon for Creative Exploration, to offer workshops and ongoing explorations of creative process, I came up with ideas for launching a music library and an education consortium. I collaborate in advancing these projects and many others in Second Life. To see more about my creations, my YouTubes, and some of my products, please visit my website. Today, with the assistance of my project manager, Kat Saitanen, I will offer a survey of some of the many ways we apply arts processes to learning. We will show snippets from many films, mainly constructed and edited by my tech manager, Fran, and we'll share more about these projects and events. We will also demonstrate and discuss a major invention of mine in Second Life called Symbolic Modeling, or SymMod for short. There will be time for Q&A after each video clip. You are welcome to put comments or questions in chat as we go along. At the end, Kat will inform you about how you can get involved in our programs. Now I'm going to turn the video portion over to Fran.
This series of short video clips illustrates various projects that we do in Second Life. If you want to view longer versions of these processes, please visit the Octagon Cinema Grove. The first few clips are going to start with an individual focus and will then branch out into collaborative projects, varying from personal awareness to creative expression. And finally, we'll show an example of a content-based process. Underlying all of these film clips is Marly's use of symbolic modeling, or SymMod for short. This approach uses arts-based tools and enables the user to gain insight and have new perspectives that are not possible by thinking, texting, or talking alone. This can take two basic forms: inside out, in which the focus is predetermined, such as a feeling state, an idea, a value, a decision, a specific conflict or challenge, and outside in, where a build or picture is created without any thought about its meaning, which gets discovered later through a guided process. The first video will show an individual coaching process using SymMod. It illustrates the inside-out process I described a minute ago. Later, Marly will be demonstrating the outside-in process, a real-time demo with our program manager, Kat.
Inside out is that you start with something that you'd like to explore, and then you build deliberately based on that. Often it works best if you connect with the feelings associated with the issue. So the first thing I'll ask you to do, Katz, is to get in touch with your feelings at home at the keyboard, your internal body sensations and emotions when you focus on this issue. And try to get a sense of it, and you might even see it as a color or as a shape, and that would be a good starting place for your build. As much as possible, your head empty, and stay in touch with feelings as you do this. Okay, and for people observing this, you can use your camera to move around the object so that you see it from different perspectives, because perspective is an important thing with this. Your perspective can change and the meaning can change based on what side you're looking at it from or where you are in relation to it. So let me just say again, Katz has some general idea about some kind of issue that popped into her mind when I asked her which way she wanted to do this. Okay, so let's say what we observe. Katz, if you become this object, don't analyze it, but just describe yourself as this. I am a whatever. Things that are observable.
I am growing inside me. I am creating. I am
Don't interpret. Don't analyze or interpret. Just describe yourself as this object.
Part of me is reaching up. Part of me is blocked.
Okay, is blocked. Would you talk as the block? Talk about your characteristics and your function.
I am rigid. I am stuck. I am a wall, not covering everything, but in the way of some things. I'm stopping or shortening, but it's going through me.
Parts of you are going through me, yes. So it's an I-you dialogue here. All right. So now you've described different pieces of you. I'm assuming that each one represents one of those different pieces. So start from any one of those pieces and be that color and that size and shape and speak about yourself and also in relation to the block.
I am light green. I am growing. I am reaching to the sky. Nothing is in my way. I scrape a little against blockages, but they don't bother me. Dark green. I am a little more interfered with, but I'm strong. I push through, I grow, I reach, I create. I'm yellow. I am not stopped. I'm going through, but I'm stunted. I'm not reaching my potential. I'm letting the obstacle frighten me a little.
Now, I noticed there's a second obstacle there. There are two obstacles. One is lower down, one's higher up, right?
Yes.
There's one that's just on this yellow part of you.
Yes. It goes through, but it doesn't get far. This first yellow, the lower one.
I go through my block, but I don't get far. Okay, so audience, you'll notice that one of the things I do is to keep the person personalizing the experience, because the tendency is to objectify and talk about it in the third person, which takes you out of the experience. So now what I'd like you to do, Katz, is to shift your perspective. Try going up on top of the high block and see things from that position. So notice what that is like for you and see what you can say about it.
It's freeing. I feel free. I feel on top of things. I feel like, oh, there's nothing on the other side. It's not a block. It's just a little board. It's thinner than I thought.
Are not a block.
You're not a block. You're thinner than I thought you were. You're not as strong. You're not as strong as me.
Uh-huh.
I even poked through you, so
Yes.
I know I can get through.
The second video illustrates a process of self-awareness using an abstract drawing. This is what Marly will guide you through if you take one of her Visions of Self sessions. In this video, Marly will be exploring one of her own drawings to show how the process works. Each time you examine a drawing, you may see something different, making each process a unique experience.
I use a way of working from Gestalt psychology in which we assume that things that we create from the inside of us and manifest on the outside are in some way there to be assimilated into our psyche, and that we may have a conscious idea about what it's all saying. But once you actually become your image and speak for it, other things start to emerge. So if this is a representation of me, I can say as blue, I start off from a very deep place. And then as I move up, I have all kinds of points that I want to make. And I splash around. And I'm like sort of a wild sea thing. And then I come into a very passionate red part of me that flows, is sort of central to my being and has a lot of feeling and enthusiasm. And I like to burn brightly and move that right into the center of everything that I do. And then I have a purple river part of me that kind of separates a little bit from that passionate part. It's a little more quiet and just sort of rocks and rolls along the whole width of me. And then finally, I come into this scrambled place of being gold and yellow. And up in here, I'm not so sure of myself. I don't know what I'm doing. I've got all kinds of ideas, all kinds of things going on, which then translate into some kind of peaceful, golden, spacious part of me. Okay, so this gives you an idea, doesn't it, about how I work with this, where I give the different parts of who I am or what I've made an actual voice. And this time, when I did it, I think Frank can attest to it, very different things came out of my mouth from the last time that I did it. And so I've got more perceptions and more things to contemplate about what I've said here that could be useful to me in whatever I'm going to do next.
In the third video, we're going to branch out into collaboration with others. This is typically done in a workshop where participants work together to combine arts processes, such as creating sculptural SymMods, naming them, then creating stories inspired by the build. This video is going to be a slight departure from that, but it follows a similar theme. Here you will see 3 actors from the Avillion Cameo Theater in Second Life using SymMods which they created to help them improvise a story on the spot.
Actors, please put out your SymMods, and I want you to tell us what feeling state each of these SymMods represents using the first person and becoming your object. Give it a voice to describe yourself and your experience.
I am confused. I'm not sure I'm in the right place. I'm unsure about what I'm supposed to be doing. My thoughts are jumbled and I'm unable to react.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
I am happy. I glow with happiness, and I'm transparent, so all of my glowing colors meld together into one big color. On the inside, though, I have some flowers that represent that I do have depth and a heart, and that there's more to me than what you see on just the outside.
Thank you. Lane?
I am angry, but I am outwardly calm, even non-reflective, but on the inside, the anger is growing and growing and more intense.
Okay, so this is an exploration of yourself as that SymMod, and now you're going to bring those feeling states into an improvisation situation. So let me ask, where are you and what's transpiring?
This scenario is first day back at high school after the summer vacation, and this is the first class of the first day.
Please react from each of your SymMod's feeling states, and then indicate when you've completed the scene.
Oh, I am so happy to be back at school. I have missed all my friends. I can't wait to see everybody. I got a new dress. I have new shoes. I can't wait for everybody to come and look at me. I can't wait to see Chuck. I wonder if he's grown a mustache over the summer. Oh my gosh.
Would you just settle down? I mean, who can be that happy? I mean, get real.
Excuse me, but I don't know if I'm supposed to be here or not. Is this the right class?
Sure, come in.
None of us are supposed to be here.
This is a great day. I am just so excited. And who are you?
My name is Kat, but are you sure this is the right class? Can you help me out here? I'm not sure I'm supposed to be here.
Just tell me what class you're supposed to be in.
I'm supposed to be in English 101. But
That's it. This is it.
Good grief.
Ha
You don't know where you're supposed to be.
He's just
Didn't
mad
you get
because
a
he
schedule?
failed the class last time.
Yeah.
So what are we supposed to be doing anyway? Do you know what this is about? I don't know.
Yeah, it's English 101, and I've been here for 3 semesters already, and good grief, I hope we've got a different teacher this time. The other 2 were just ridiculous.
Well, maybe if you would come to class once in a while, you wouldn't be failing.
Yeah, right. This is 101. This is easy. This is who needs to come to class.
Apparently you do.
So what do you think we should be doing right now? I just don't know.
It's okay, Kat. Just take a seat and get out your pencil.
That's the end of the scenario.
Let me ask you, actors, how did the SymMods contribute to the experience of improvisation, if at all?
I'll go first. As you can see from my SymMod, the shapes and colors used, as well as the fact that each shape is disconnected from the others, to me, it represents a state of confusion. Everything is scattered about, nothing is connected, perhaps even unsure about what piece should be where. And it helped me, when I look at it visually, when I stand next to it, to feel that sense of confusion and being torn and unaware or not knowing about what I should be doing or saying it at a time.
Thank you.
I felt exactly the same way about mine. I could look at it and it would make me feel happy just to look at it. It would draw me back to my happy state, helped remind me to stay cheerful in the face of anger and confusion.
Okay.
For me, what it helped do was organize the layers, for lack of a better word, the exterior and the interior, at least, to separate the 2 things going on.
I think really if I were to sum it up, I would say that it's having the SymMod, having the process of building it, thinking about that emotional state that we're attempting to represent. Then when it's complete, it is that solid visual reminder to us about what emotion we're supposed to be conveying at that point in time.
I love this part.
Wasn't that great?
And it was very creative. I'm a language teacher, so it's a great exercise.
Off the script, remember that we're just showing you snippets of these different films that we made. Like those 3 actors did a scene from Romeo and Juliet using SymMods for their characters and putting them in different relationships to each other. It was fascinating. Any other comments or questions right now? We can just go on.
Let's move on to the fourth video, which I think you'll also find very interesting. It's from a unique program that we hold periodically called Improvisations, Musicians, and Artists. Kat, Marly's program manager, facilitates these programs. For this program, the Improv, we bring together Second Life musicians and artists or builders. A musician starts by spontaneously improvising a piece for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, one of the artists listens and then begins building based on what he or she hears. After this, an artist starts building spontaneously, and after a minute or so, a musician then begins playing based on what the build inspires in them. While all of this is happening, the audience members are invited and encouraged to type comments into chat expressing what the visual and auditory images inspire in them. This provides an interesting cross-channel experience that can be very exciting and unique. The improvisations by both the musicians and the artists can be quite amazing to watch and hear.
To me, it was like a dance.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, Pio? Sometimes people actually do get up and dance outside the circle because the art is on the inside, but sometimes people do dance. And in fact, we've talked about deliberately adding dancers who can choreograph.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next video. The next video is from another program that we hold periodically that we call Shakespeare's Monologues. It's gone under some different names, but that's what we're currently using. Participants will choose an iconic speech from one of Shakespeare's plays and then create symbolic art to go along with the monologue. They then will perform the monologue in front of an audience while being encouraged to dress in costume for the performance. Afterwards, Marly will guide the performers in talking about the SymMod of their character and will ask for feedback from the audience. The focus here is examining the Shakespearean characters as archetypes for modern-day characters.
Why are our bodies soft and weak and smooth, unapt to toil and trouble in the world, but that our soft conditions and our hearts should well agree with our external parts? Come, come, you froward and unable worms. My mind has been as big as one of yours, my heart as great, my reason haply more, to bandy word for word and frown for frown. But now I see our lances are but straws, our strength as weak, our weakness past compare, that seeming to be most which we are indeed least. Then veil your stomachs, for it is no boot, and place your hands below your husband's foot, in token of which duty, if he please, my hand is ready. May it do him ease.
To talk with you about your art piece, be each part of this and give it a voice, or if there's a dialogue between the two parts, then do it that way.
Well, first of all, I clipped these two images in contrast to each other. I see in Catherine both these creatures, noble, strong, passionate, enduring, and I don't think that Kate's soliloquy reduces her inner strength. I think by directing it towards being a dutiful and humble wife, it doesn't necessarily have to put out her flame. In any case, this is an obvious contrast here between, on my right is the wild mare, free, standing proud, untethered, unbound. And on my left is the racehorse with the rider whipping her. She's trying with all her might to succeed and do what her master wants, and she's devoted to her job despite the abuse. I could go on, but to me this is a very clear contrast.
Well, and I mean, it certainly brings up stuff that's happening in this day and age about women and their subjugation and the whole Me Too movement and so on. So we'll get into that. Let's see if there's anything else. You are going to be that horse, the unfettered horse, and give it a voice. What would it be saying?
I would be able to move anywhere. The world would be mine to explore, and I would be able to choose my own clan and tribe. I'd be looking for a mate, but someone who was my equal and whom I could dedicate my passion to and run free with and not be bound by, but to serve from my own free will and love. And that's who that mare is.
Okay, great. I'd like to open to the audience now. I'd love to hear some of your ideas. If you are aligned with one of the characters and have some things to say about how you see this playing out in contemporary life in some way, or people you can think of who are represented by the archetypes that you heard in the speeches. The floor is actually open.
I really enjoyed doing Kate previously, quite some time ago. I like to think that Kate and Petruchio came to a common relationship of love because Petruchio was a scamp. He married Kate for her money. Kate was a shrew. She wouldn't let anybody boss her around. So they sort of had that in common, that rejection of the social norms. So I think that might have brought them together.
Interesting thought. Do you see Kate as an archetype for women that you recognize in present life? People in politics, in entertainment, all over the place, who represent different styles of leadership, different ways of living their lives. What I want to get at is the timelessness of these archetypes. It's why Shakespeare has lasted indefinitely.
I can think two characters that are the two sides of Kate, both by coincidence named Eleanor. Eleanor of Aquitaine was quite a rebel, went off to the crusade topless, protest. And Eleanor Roosevelt was a very responsible wife to President Roosevelt and caregiver for him also. I can imagine those two people being the same, the one developing into the other.
Yes, and Eleanor was a strong person and achiever in her own right as well.
Definitely.
This is the last video that we'll be showing today. This is practical application of SymMod, where participants each take on a different position associated with the subject of climate change. They create a SymMod to represent their assigned position, then are guided through an examination of the SymMod to attempt to gain a deeper understanding of that position. The goal is not to endorse any specific position, but to attempt to understand what thought processes make up each position so that better discussions can come about.
Most of my work in Second Life has been based on using arts-based processes to express ideas or feeling states, and then applying Gestalt methodologies for exploration. We're approaching the exploration of this emotional issue of climate change using field theory or force field analysis to become aware of what it's like to occupy various positions in this loaded field. Field theory, developed by Kurt Lewin, holds that behavior must be derived from a totality of coexisting factors making up a dynamic field. By exploring these emotional positions along the climate change spectrum, we're looking at forces that either drive movement toward a goal or block movement toward the goal. And we know that even though people have facts, they often make choices and decisions based on emotion. So let's explore these emotional positions and deepen our understanding of them. So we have Hef, Liz, dancers, Lucida, and Carla. We're trying out whatever positions they got, and then it'll be enough for us to see how this process works. The rest of you can look at the climate change positions chart to see what all of the positions were, and there'll be some, the numbers that we didn't cover, that weren't covered. Now, I want you to check, I always ask people to check with their bodies at home at the computer, which is a barometer that helps you with the feeling process, with the focus, and to see whether the feeling that you're having with this position matches what you're putting on the screen. And you'll feel a kind of click that says, yes, that's it, or no, that's not quite right. That needs to be bigger or more translucent or a different color or whatever. So check with your body. We're going to start with Liz. What I'm going to ask you to do, once Liz and I have explored this position a bit, if anyone else can add to the emotional argument of that position, then you give your part of the argument. And then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, Liz, please state the position in I language for us.
I don't think there's any problem. disasters have occurred periodically throughout history. Way too much concern about this.
There are several parts to this object. So I want you to actually start to role play pieces of your object. Speak to us as those aspects of this position.
I'm going to move into the object. Okay, I'm first of all, right now, I am inside my object. Okay, and I can't see anybody or anything except the object. So to you, the object, you are extremely, you are your springtime green. When I look at you, I don't see anything except green. Everything looks fine to me in here. I don't have to see anything, even though I'm feeling really uncomfortable about something else that's going on here.
Okay, now if you were speaking as that green part, how would you represent yourself?
I am making you feel good. I mean, don't go beyond me. You just enjoy where you are right here. I'm comforting you. I'm taking care of you. You don't have to see anything. This thing around me is really annoying, but you don't have to pay attention to it.
Okay. All right, great. All right, now go to the thing around and be that.
Hey, I'm crazy. I'm spinning crazily. I'm out here and you're not paying attention to me. You cover her, you control her, you don't let her pay attention to me. I'm here though, you can't get rid of me.
Summarize what this whole build symbolically is saying or representing. Summarize it to the rest of us, and then I want anyone else who can develop the feeling of the initial argument, which is there's no problem. It's a dissociation position, to come and give more parts of this argument.
So this inside here, if I stay inside this nice little place that's very beautiful and green, I don't have to think about anything. Everything feels fine, except there is this niggling feeling I have that there's something sort of out of whack or crazy around it somehow, but I don't want it to feel it or see it. So I'm going to stay inside here. But this is my solution to the whole subject.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, if anyone else can amplify this position, come and say it.
So I would say everything will be taken care of. It will all be all right. You've got this little niggling thing going on, but don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine because that's the way it's intended to be.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make a comment here that a lot of these videos have to do with exploring feeling states or experiences in various ways. But you can also take intellectual topics and explore them symbolically as well, to get a greater understanding of a historic event, of literary character, so forth and so on. So there are a lot of different ways of using this.
I just love the way it was done. This is something that it can only be done here in virtual worlds that cannot be experienced any other way. I think it was brilliant.
I'm now going to demonstrate an outside-in process with the help of my friend and program manager, Kat. And as a reminder, this is where a build or picture is created without any thought about its meaning, which then gets discovered through a guided process. And this guided process also will give you an idea of what I do help people learn in the training that we. That's go ahead and throw some shapes down. You can tell that inside out or outside in and reveal perspectives or insights that are surprising or new. You'll remember the video also where I had change her perspective to the object that she built by going up on that platform. That's another thing you can do. You can change your position in relation to the object, or you can change the of the object. Change one that's vertical into something horizontal or upside down. Each time you do this, you're producing new data. So I would tell somebody that I was doing this with, try to keep your mind empty, not think about, oh, what is this, what is it, or doing any interpretation. You can see that she's experimenting, changing colors, trying different shapes, just putting stuff together. So you can work with your image. As I said in one of the videos, use your body as a barometer for what you're creating on the screen. It will give you, intuitively give you information about, well, I don't feel quite done, or yes, that's done. And the other thing I could say about this is that often when we do the Visions of Self workshop, we can use each other's objects as projection screens for our own discovery. And that's a whole other way of using this visual information. So you can be pondering to yourself, if this were my object, what feeling does it bring up? If I were different parts, what would they be saying to me, etc.
Okay, I'm done. I don't know if you can hear me.
Okay, now I like to get up and walk around. I mean, I'm noticing, for instance, that I don't know whether you intended this, but that the top piece is not precisely in the middle. It's like kind of a little bit off to one side.
Me? Askew? No.
Slightly. And that may or may not be, but it's great just the way it is. So, how draws attention right off the bat? Where would you like to start? You can start by the whole thing, a piece of it, or have parts.
Now, the audience should remember that I've done this before, so I'm more comfortable than you always are the first time. But I'm going to start by speaking as the bottom one, the bottom piece. It's I feel like I'm greenish and bluish and watery, but I'm not flowing. And I'm not sure what that's all about, because usually I would have made it flow, but I feel steady. I'm holding steady. I'm holding everything else up, and right above me is one that looks just like me, except it has a rather I could move. I think I'll move to the second one up and speak as that. I'm green and steady, like a steady water, but it's not really steady because I'm kind of a jumble of different textures, but they all feel like earthy and watery both at the same time, I guess.
I'm noticing that the top part of the second one is different from the top part.
Yes, I've got this sort of rainbow colored top that's facing upward. And I feel like I'm facing upward. I feel like the whole thing is facing upward and holding this slightly askew object in the middle that has a cloudy feeling, like watching clouds go by. I'm all cloudy and sky and clouds and moving and moving upward. I like that. It feels good. I got all relaxed when I moved into the cloudy part. more than I was when I was talking about the other parts. I'm feeling
So now you've
like I'm
mentioned two
flowing
parts
upward. Pardon?
in one sentence. So let's do a little dialogue between that, what you're calling the cloudy part, and the part that it's resting in.
Okay. I feel like I should thank you guys under me, holding me up, being positive when it's not always easy. And I feel like my good feelings are partly because I'm embedded in you. And if I didn't have that base, those both holding up the bottom and the middle, and the hopefulness of the surface of you, the second one feels like more like a recent past, and the bottom one feels like longer in the past. And this is me now. Lighter.
Introduced a time factor into this. So on the bottom is the past. In the middle is more, and the top is most current.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I'm
moving
emerging.
into the future.
I'm emerging from this and from that hopefulness. Gee, where'd all this positivity come from?
I don't know, but walk around
Okay.
this, because you will notice as you walk around some slight differences. I want you to find something that you haven't paid attention to before.
Okay. Okay, there's a split. There's a split in the middle of the rainbow.
I have a split in the middle of me.
I have a split in me. There's a darker and a lighter side, which makes some sense. In my
Let's
recent
hear what each
past.
of those guys has to say.
And I'm skewed towards the lighter side. Interesting. Who did you want to hear from?
Well, you say that darker and a lighter. I'm wondering what those two, can you make a sentence for each of those two sides?
Okay, the darker side is saying, I'm, dealing with reality. Things are not always happy and fun. But I keep, I keep on keeping on. So I'm still hopeful and positive, but I'm more realistic, I think, or more based in daily life and real life. And now I can talk as the other side. Yeah, you're a bit of a stick in the mud, but I'm more drawn to fantasy and light and air, and I'm less rooted in the daily life and more involved in reaching creativity and stuff. Creative.
Okay, so that addresses these two parts of you that are active in you. Now, you chose a different shape for leadership. What is about that entity, that object, that you might want to say that's different from the others?
I have this bowl thing on the top, like a dip or a. In fact, all of us have that, but it's more obvious and visible in me. I think it's because I'm reaching up and I'm creating, but I also want to hold things. I want things to be deposited in there. I want to be able to hold what I find.
How about depositing yourself in there?
Oh, what a great idea that is. All right. Well, let me get more cozy in here.
and just find out what perspective is like for you.
Feels kind of good, but I don't think I really belong in this seat. I think that's for stuff that comes from outside me to settle in. But it's comfortable.
When you see your object from this perspective, what is it that stands out for you? What do you notice most?
I'm noticing that it feels soft.
That
I don't know why I said that, but it feels soft. It feels
when you say it,
the whole build. The whole build feels softer.
The build of me feels soft.
I know when I usually do these things, I tend to have pointy things and going up, stuff like that. This is going up, but I feel comfortable. I'm feeling relaxed. I'm checking with my body at home. But I do think that the goal at the top is to accept things. So I don't feel comfortable really sitting in it. I mean, even though it was a comfortable spot. I want to get
Okay,
out
all right.
and leave it open.
You've separated your voice out as the avatar. What might you like to say to your object, and what might your object like to say back to you?
Well, you seem different to me from previous SymMods. I like what I see. What are you? It's more comfortable and still reaching up, still being, and accepting. I get a feeling of acceptance from you.
Okay.
And complexity. I feel like there's still a lot to explore.
Now, do you notice that when you stand on this side, there's actually a split in the texture? That is, there's a black line that moves down the sides of the two, call bowls. And on the left is a somewhat different texture from on the right. Okay.
Yeah, I do feel that. The whole thing has this feeling of two sides. One lighter than the other, one watery, one earthy, one rooted in the world and one not so much.
Yeah, one more, as you said, in your imagination or fantasy, your creative output.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is interesting. This is new stuff for me. New info. It's very different from previous SymMods, don't you think?
Well, yeah, you think. Well, let's stop here, and I'm just going to ask you to comment or talk to the audience now about this experience, whatever this discovery, and what it was like doing an outside-in process to the other one.
Okay, to make a personal statement about this one, I feel like it's always a surprise. You get a little nervous at first when you first start to build. So even though I've done a lot of these, it's like going on stage, I guess, is for veteran actors and actresses. No matter how many times you do it, there's a moment of, what do I do now? But once you get past that, once you just start, and you can do this with really simple, I mean, I love to build, and I've got all kinds of building textures and stuff around scripts, but you don't need those. You could just throw out a ball and a square and a thing, and how you put it together is still going to reveal stuff to you. So you don't have to be into building or know a lot about building. I like to keep them and come back to them sometimes, and then I find I get some more out of it.
If you would like to take my SymMod training, where I train others in how to guide someone through a SymMod process, first you need to register for and attend one of the Visions of Self programs. And now I'll give the floor to Kat.
The Visions of Self experience which is one of our programs, is for me the most personal and revealing, because you start with, it's an inside out, and you start with a sense of who am I, or what part of me. And that is why we've made that program a prerequisite for the training. You can use it as a group leader, a teacher, an artist, in a writer's group, anywhere insights are useful. After experiencing that, you can decide if you want to sign up for the training. My email is slcatseye2@gmail.com. Substantive questions about SymMod should be directed to Marly Milena. Anyway, thank you very much for listening and coming, and I hope you do come to the improv and register for the bus and find out what this is all about for real by doing it yourself, because you won't be sorry.
I've done about 3 or 4 of these trainings now. Now, to conclude today's program, we'll briefly mention a few other locations here that we've developed and which we encourage you to visit. I mentioned the Butterfly Gallery, which is right behind you. You'll see examples of different art experiments I do. And on one of the walls, there's an actual instruction sheet for making something called a flexagon, which you can follow and do at home, which is a lot of fun. And if any of you actually decide to do that, you can send us a picture of your flexagon and we can exhibit it in there. There's the Cinema Grove. That's where watch the more complete movies in the three main subject areas: personal development, creative expression, and education. You can do the same thing as you did here, either watch it on a prim there or there's a browser link. And then the music library.
I just wanted to mention Marly's brainchild, the CVL Marly Milena Music Library. It's over at the Community Virtual Library. And if, like me, you discovered new music and musicians in your childhood or your youth by going to the library and the library's listening booths, you'll want to visit this one. It's just a baby now, and you can help us by nominating your favorite musician. And the music library will foster creativity in Second Life music and arts by honoring and making accessible the wonderful works of Second Life musicians and composers.
And I have to say, of all the places I've seen in Second Life, it is the most beautiful.
And we are currently producing Musician of the Month events, and as part of this VWMOOC 21, the amazing Noma Palto will be playing there at the CVL Marly Milena Music Library. If you're interested in serving on the selection committee, we're looking for a few good Abbies with music creds, open minds, and exquisite taste, of course. Contact me if you're interested or know someone who might be. Thanks a lot, and we hope to see you at any one of the upcoming events.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Sri.
Here with you. It was wonderful. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.